Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Yes, it is February, which means it's time to talk about love, baby. Here on the Dads, not always on wrestling, but it is a wrestling show today because this is our first show of the month, first of two. And as you saw in the description, if you read the description, first of all, again, I say this almost every show. I encourage reading wholeheartedly. Reading is a good thing, kids. Much like
read a book. Read an MRFing book.
Yeah. Much like Luke Bryan said in his song years ago, rain is a good thing. Reading's a very good thing. So read, kids. This is our Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, although it's wrestling this week. Top 10 wrestling couples. Now, the key to this show is this. He went back and forth about this. Oh, by the way, I am Jeff Meacham, as you know, because the sign on the door says Jeff Meacham Network. Again, if you can't read that after a year and a half, I got nothing for you. He is the Renegade JJ Williams, so we'll go ahead and do that right now. He and I went back and forth on how we wanted to have these people on this list, and we decided collectively that while they were in fact a couple on screen, for the most part, there is one on my list that definitely did not officially acknowledge coupling off screen or on screen until the very, very end. But they are off screen couples as well. That's how I did mine. Based on seeing his, that's how he did his as well. So
yeah. Originally, we were toying with the idea of, do we want to do real couples, kayfabe couples, a mixture of both? And it's like, I think at the end of the day, when it comes right down to it, the real life couples just leaps and bounds, are better than the kayfabe couples.
Right. And some of the kayfabe couples, the original thumbnail I had for this show, for the record, had like Tajiri and Tori Wilson and Molly Holly and Hurricane. It's like, no. Just no. Stop.
What's up with that?
Exactly. It's just silly. But yes, these, my 10 anyway, JJ's 10. Actually, JJ's 10, it looks like, from what I can see, one couple definitely didn't acknowledge it on screen at all during the run. The other one, you kind of knew, but it wasn't really actively said, during their duration. And I'll chime in on what I think is those as he goes along. But as it is a wrestling show, we start with the list from the one, the only, the Renegade. Take it away, sir.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I've been looking forward to doing this show. It's February, and it's like, well, what are we going to do in February? It's like, there's not really too many signature pay-per-views in February. Like, it's hard to do a top 10 No Way Out matches.
Yeah.
So it's like, so what are we going to do with February? Well, February is Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So what better to do than to talk about our favorite wrestling couples? And then, of course, for the non-wrestling topic in a couple more weeks, we're going to talk about our favorite love songs as well as breakup songs. So make sure you tune in for that. So with Valentine's being the central focus of the month, much like next month will be all WrestleMania focused, and I know Jeff is chomping at the bit for that month. Wrestling couples. There have been tons of them in wrestling history. Like we said, whether it's real or kayfabe, there's been lots of them.
Yes.
My number 10, right here, baby, my t-shirt, Natalya and Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson. They are, for all intents and purposes, like a real Cinderella story. Like, they have been together since they were kids.
Yes, literally kids.
When Natalya was first allowed to date, she started dating TJ, and they've basically been together ever since.
Yes.
He grew up as a friend of the Hart family, fell in love with Natty through the Independence, through the Hart Dynasty, through the solo run. They've always been together. watching them get married on Total Divas finally after all those years was just a beautiful moment for me personally, because Natty has always been a favorite of mine.
Definitely.
I mean, I named my daughter Natalie partially after Natalia, and then I've always got this beard thing going on pretty much Anvil style.
Yes.
So it just always worked. Number 9 for me, Booker T and Charmel.
Yes.
The king and queen of SmackDown, as it were.
Yes. Definitely.
Again, you go all the way back to WCW and their relationship starting there when she was still a Nitro girl and he was still in Harlem Heat as a member of the tag ranks before he even got his first world title. His first of five-time WCW champion reigns.
Yes,
the carryover to WWF during the Alliance and the Invasion and King Booker and Queen Charmel, and again, just a great wrestling couple. One of, even when you hated Booker and Charmel, you loved watching them together because of the love they exuded through the screen.
Absolutely. What's funny though, it's funny you say that about them. They were together in the dying days of WCW, but when Booker won his world title, he was still with wife number 1. So that whole thing with Charmel was actually kind of a mildly scandalous thing at first. So it's wonderful that they've not only endured, because God knows in wrestling that bullshit just doesn't fly, but they've endured and they've thrived. Not even survived, they've thrived as a pairing. So good on them, man.
Yeah. Number 8, I really didn't want to put on my list.
Oh, here we go.
I really didn't, because of the disdain that I had for the female.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Always loved the dude in this pairing, but I always had a bad taste in my mouth for the female because I felt that she got pushed because she was with him. Undertaker and Michelle McCool.
Wow. Okay. All right.
It wasn't until later years,
right,
once she had retired, that I was able to finally take a step back and look at them and be like, these two are cute.
Right.
When they get together, when he breaks down out of his Undertaker and just becomes Mark, and you watch them interact, right, they are adorable together.
Yes, they are.
And I had to acknowledge that. I actually contemplated putting Taker and Sarah for a minute because, everybody craps on Sarah, but I liked Sarah. Yeah. I liked the little bit they presented of her in WWF, especially during the Invasion, the stalker angle.
Right.
That angle was horrible.
Yes,
but I liked her performance in it. I liked their relationship and the way they meshed. But you look at Taker and Michelle and you're like, okay, this was meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. For the record, that was the one of the two that I said that did acknowledge it. They did not acknowledge it at all until he thought he was done the first time. When he walked out of that ring after facing Roman and flat out walked over there and done kissed her, it's like, oh, shit, he really is done. He's walking away here. So that's when we thought it was over. So, yeah the fact that it didn't, and you know what? Good on them for not doing it even then. They really didn't work her into the angle as his wife until the stuff with AJ at the beginning of last year when they were going into Mania and the Boneyard match. So that is crucial for me on the list because, man, if you can have a coupling outside of the business and not directly drag it into work, even though it happened at work, brah freaking oh, man, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's tremendous for me.
But like I said, I had so much disdain for Michelle for years because it felt like she was getting all those titles just because she was with Undertaker.
Yes.
And that I didn't feel was fair to the other talented women on the roster at the time.
Right.
So I had a lot of hate and a lot of disdain for Michelle for a long time.
You did. I remember.
Number 7.
Uh-oh.
Just got to take a deep sigh here because. Okay. I got to try and find the right wording here on this so I don't get emotional and so that I do justice.
And now thoughts with Jack Candy.
The fact that we've lost half of this duo hurts every time I go back and I watch the matches.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that they had a tremendous life together, primarily outside of the ring.
Right.
The fact that they were able to come back together after a rough point, after dealing with demons. Vicky and Eddie.
Yeah, the Guerreros. Yep, absolutely.
You know, and getting to meet Vicky, you know, getting to get Eddie's signature in my very first program in ballpoint ink pen instead of Sharpies. But then getting to meet Vicky and talk to her later on, and what a sweetheart she was. And, you know, the custody of Dominic angle notwithstanding, because that was a huge black mark on the in-ring, in my opinion. And it was stupid for her to be introduced to the fans in that angle.
Yeah.
But I just love Eddie and Vicky's story.
Yes.
So much so that even though it was kayfabe, I loathed the Edge and Vicky stuff that went on years later.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. Me
like,
too.
with a passion, loathed it. And I love Edge, and I love Vicky.
Yep.
But to see them kissing and doing the stuff they did, I got so pissed over that stuff.
Yeah. No.
I know it's wrestling, it's fake, it's acting, you know, he's gone, we should get over it, but like it was still somewhat fresh at the time. It had only been a couple of years removed.
Right.
And it was still a fresh wound, so to speak.
Yeah. For me personally, that upset me more than, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. That pissed me off more than the Edge Matt Hardy Lita thing. It really did. Because, yeah, I'm sure you're going to get into Matt and Lita later because I know you. But Matt and Amy breaking up was horrible, and Amy and Adam doing what they did, or whatever. First of all, none of our friggin' business. Second of all, Edge and Lita was a friggin' awesome pairing. So it led to something so fantastic that you almost couldn't hate on it. Vicky and Edge, yeah, they were a good on-screen couple and everything, and it led to some diabolical shit with The Undertaker, ironically enough. But it never really felt organic. It never really felt real because it's like, dude,
it felt forced.
Yeah, way forced. So I'm with you on the whole Edge of Vicky, but yeah, more so because like you're Eddie's girl. What are you doing? Like, what the hell is?
I feel like Dolph and Vicky felt more organic than Edge and Vicky.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. If we were including kayfabe pairings, Dolph and Vicky probably would have been up there for me because it's almost like you can see that Dolph really doesn't want to do that, but he made it work as far as like, even on camera, you can see like he's not sure, but he went with it, man. And it was so good to watch. Anyway.
Number 6 is going to be my first trip to the Land of Extreme.
Ooh, okay.
Tommy Dreamer and Beulah.
Yeah. They're the ones I was saying on your list that flat out never acknowledged it for real until the very, very... Actually, in ECW itself, they didn't. It wasn't until One Night Stand they actually did. So
yeah. And I was going to get to that, you know. Seeing them on screen in ECW, you know, we never really knew. We always... It seemed more kayfabe.
Right.
It wasn't until ECW folded, I think, that the word kind of got out that they were like a legitimate couple.
Yes.
And then to see them at One Night Stand together, defending the honor of ECW, alongside Terry, right, against Edge and Foley and Lita.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just an amazing moment for them as a professional in-ring couple as well as personally.
Well, even that at the first One Night Stand, when Tommy was getting his ass whooped by, well, everybody was whooping Tommy's ass because it's Tommy. Beulah came out and saved him and, beat the shit out of Francine because that's what Beulah and Francine do. And then, she gives her they give this big nasty kiss and his face is Gordon Soley style. And she's like, I don't give a shit. Fucking, and like,
it's like, that's my man. I don't care.
Like, if that's not your real life wife and you're giving her a bloody face kiss, dude, keep her. She's a keeper. Jesus.
But yeah, Tommy and Beulah, I always loved watching them in the original ECW.
Yes.
And you could totally see the chemistry between the two of them.
Yep.
So you can obviously see how they fell in love just by watching those episodes. And then to know that they're still together after all these years.
Yep.
It's a testament to the business because, for starters, the divorce rate is so high in general populace anyways, but it seems to be like amplified in the wrestling community.
Right.
People are getting married and divorced about as quickly as Big Show turns face and heel.
Well, but hang on. To be fair to the Big Show, we've established there are more Jeff Meacham pictures than there are Big Show heel and face turns. Let's not pick on the Big Show too much.
I just had to get that in there.
I know you did. Yeah, and honestly, with these two, it's like I love they're still together. I love that their little girls played a part on The Sopranos early on in their lives. That just is awesome to me that they got their girls into that juggernaut of the show. That was really cool. I would love to go back and watch if they ever do a Tommy Dreamer biographical DVD, Blu-ray, documentary, or whatever, and find out exactly when they first paired up because, she came into ECW. She was with Raven for a while on screen, tormenting Tommy. I don't know if Trisha Hayes was already with Tommy or if that just happened organically like it did with, Mark and Michelle, like it did with, Amy and Matt, Amy and Adam. Like, I'd love to know when that happened. I'd be so curious to find that out.
Me too. That would be an interesting thing to learn about.
Yes, for sure.
Number 5. Ironically, the story of number 5 starts right up there at the Little White Wedding Chapel. Triple H and Stephanie. You say what you will about them and what they've done to the business, the fact they're taking over the business. They are an amazing couple, and they always have been from day one. From the moment Stephanie turned heel and aligned herself with Hunter at Armageddon that year.
Yes, sir. Very good.
All the way up until now. They have been originally kayfabe at that point.
Yes.
All the way up to now, they have been outstanding together.
Yeah.
Whether they've worked as face or heel, and granted, 95% of it was heel.
Right.
But, it just doesn't matter. They have always been a great couple, both on screen and behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
Number 4 is another one that's kind of sentimental because I've been able to meet the female in this pairing.
Okay.
Female in this pairing has had great significance to me ever since our first encounter. And
yes,
he's no longer with us. Chris Candido and Sonny Tammy Setch. whatever you want to call her.
Right. Behave in the chat room.
Yeah. I know that Tammy Sunny has had, we'll just say, a rocky road these last few years.
More than that, but yes, definitely. Yes.
I would go as far as to say that the majority of it started when Chris died.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, figure that's 15 years, and it's been a rough go for her. Absolutely.
But I just adore watching them together.
Yes.
During the WWF days where she was bouncing from team to team to team, kind of just wasn't feeling that. But when she was managing the Body Donnas, when she was managing him in WCW, when she was with him in ECW, they were gold.
Yeah. Yep.
They were gold.
Yes.
And then behind the scenes as well, I never got to meet Chris, but meeting Tammy, the many times that I have interacted with her and talked to her, I have over here off to the side autographed 8x10s of her signed Your Guardian Angel.
Yep.
Because the fact that she was there for me when I had an episode up in Northern California.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not going to get into details about it. It's personal life. But she was one of the ones to rush over to me when I was having a serious issue.
Yep.
So I will, no matter what people say about her, no matter what she does in her life, I will always be indebted to Tammy.
Yep. Yeah. Since they're not on my list, let me just say this really quick. I was fortunate to meet both of them at XPW on my birthday, ironically enough, in 2003. And it was at that point they were much better. They were more solid than they were early on because we all heard about the stuff with Tammy and Shawn Michaels and all the shenanigans that went on in the WWF. But Chris and Tammy were definitely one of those wrestling couples where you don't think it's ever going to go the distance long term, and they did, man. I mean, throughout all Tammy's shenanigans, throughout all Chris's insecurity he had, in his life about a lot of different things, they stuck it through, man. They were both so happy to just be working, especially working with Shane Douglas, who was, triple threat baby,
franchise baby.
Exactly. And to be working alongside Shane again, even they weren't on screen together, but we're working because Shane was booking XPW at the time. So you had Shane and Chris and Tammy together. It was probably as close to an ECW locker room as I'm ever going to get. And it was pretty cool to be around everybody. It was really nice. And yeah, the weekend was kind of a batshit crazy, of course, because it's my birthday, number one, XPW number two. So there you go. It's nuts. But it was very cool to meet Tammy and meet Chris that weekend. I do have an 8x10 in my folder that I keep behind plastic because I don't want to get screwed up because it is signed by both of them. So yeah, they were a great couple. It's very unfortunate. Again, we were all fans of TNA when he was managing Chase and Andy, and when he passed away after that blood clot, that was screwed up. That was a terrible, terrible thing. And we at XMV really felt that one. That hit us hard as a truck. It was very difficult to do a show that day, and the fact of the show we did for them basically turned out to be a complete disaster on storyline wise. Was I feel a disservice to Chris, and I do feel bad about it to this day. I know I shouldn't. But I do. So yeah, I love them. They're not on my list for reasons, but I definitely honorable mention. I love them both to the pieces. I always will.
His shirt was the other one I contemplated wearing for this show because my first encounter with Sunny, I bought a Chris t-shirt off of her.
Nice.
So
yeah.
Number 3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
Yeah. Matt Hardy and Lita.
Oh yeah. All right, here we go. Let me get comfortable.
For a dorky guy, at the end of the day, it was the story that I resonated the most with
Absolutely.
for years. Matt, good looking, but not as popular as Jeff. Lita, Amy, hot, but tomboyish, skaterish. And to see the two of them come together organically,
Yes.
be together for as long as they were, only end because of dubious circumstances during an injury.
Yes.
They're one of the only ones, I think, on my list that didn't go the distance.
No.
And it's a shame that it ended the way it did.
It really is.
I remember just after the news broke, going to meet Edge wearing my Hardy's shirt.
Oh, man, I remember this story.
And all he could say was, nice shirt.
Right? What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
But, again, just like I said during the Eddie and Vicky, I love Edge. I've always been a fan of his since his debut.
Yes.
But I really didn't like him for a minute there when everything went down.
Yeah, it was very hard to be a fan of Edge for a while. Like even though we did eventually get back to it, but man, it was like, bastard.
Honestly, it took him winning his first title for me to come back to him.
Wow. Okay.
Because it was so long overdue.
Right.
When he cashed in that briefcase and did it, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it led to life sex. So,
which is always good with Lita. Yeah, yeah.
But Matt and Lita, I honestly feel, had it not been for the injury, they would have gone the distance. They would have eventually gotten married.
I think that's safe to say, but again, there's always going to be stuff we don't know everything about. So who knows?
I know. We can only speculate, Number 2, Vince and Linda. You want to talk about two people that have been with each other through thick and thin.
Right.
You want to talk about two people when the chips were down, definitely could have left each other and been like, okay, I'm out. They have stuck it out from day one.
Yep.
Personally and professionally.
Exactly.
When Vince was going to trial for the steroid scandal, she could have been like, deuces, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
When WWE was getting their asses handed to them by WCW, and it looked like there was no hope in sight, she could have been like, deuces, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yep.
Through all of his angles with different women on television. I mean, on TV, they did announce a divorce.
Yeah.
Obviously, they never did. They're still together.
Yes.
But I mean, there's countless times when this one definitely could have ended, and they have stayed true to each other, and they seem to be just as in love with each other today as they were when they first met. And I applaud that.
Agreed.
Especially in this crazy business.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those things where, Linda is always so fond of saying that, he promised her it'd never be boring and it'd always be an adventure. It's like, yeah. But you mentioned the steroid trial, and where she could have been like, dude, you're going to jail. Bye. She stepped up and took the CEO job and went, I got you, babe.
Mm-hmm.
That I applaud.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, she could have been like, your ass is going to jail. I ain't around, man. But she stuck with him. And that shows me that old school of a marriage, which, took place in 1951, is so solid. It reminds me like of my grandparents. Yeah, they went through a lot of crazy nonsense, but they stuck it out and they were together until the end, man. And I applaud the McMahons for sticking with each other, because we've all seen Vince in action on screen. You and I have both met Vince. You and I've met Linda.
Now, Vince is the only McMahon that I've met.
Okay. Just encountering them in person, even ever so briefly, part of you goes, how does this work? But it does.
I mean, I have met Hunter McMahon.
Right.
But Vince is the only blood McMahon I've met.
Right. Yeah. And it's, the complete dichotomy that Linda comes over to Dylan's mom and I, very gracious, very sweet, very maternal. Vince is like, handshake, bounce. And you're like, okay. Sure. So, but it works. And they've worked for however many years now. And they still go. Yeah. So.
And him and I's meeting was completely different. Completely the opposite of yours.
Freaking fantastic. I love your meeting with him. So
and I still, to this day, I still stand by my statement of, if the security guard had not made the comment he made, it never would have happened.
Yeah, no way.
SummerSlam Access, he's out there surveying the street before it gets opened up to the fans, taking a look around at everything that Staples has got set up for him. We see him out there, we're fans. We immediately know who he is. It's like the average spectator may not know, because he wasn't as heavy on camera back then. But growing up in the Attitude Era like I did, you immediately recognize Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
So we run across the street. We're hollering to him, Mr. McMahon, may we please get a picture of Vince? Can we please get an autograph? And the security guard, like I said, had he not said, go away, he doesn't have time for people like you. Vince heard that.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, you motherfucker, these are our bread and butter. These are the fans. Like, that's what he was thinking. He didn't say that.
No.
But that's what he's thinking. It's like, these people are about to go and pay money to come in here to meet my superstars, and you're telling them I don't have time for them?
Red alert, red alert, red alert.
He walked right over.
Oh, yeah.
Vince McMahon stuff. Hey, guys, how's it going? And I got my thumbs up, and your picture with Vince. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
Just an acknowledgement away from him would have satisfied me, but because the security guard was the dick that he was, we got to meet him.
Are you telling me Staples Security was dickheadish? Come on. Come on.
I know.
You're full of baloney.
I know. Number one on my list, the ultimate couple, especially in the 80s.
Oh, yes.
Randy Savage and Elizabeth. Couple in real life, couple on screen. From what I remember reading, by the time they got married on screen, there was already problems in their personal life.
Yes.
But the fact that they could still be professional enough and make that moment work just says everything that you need to say about them. And then getting repaired together back in WCW.
Absolutely.
Having that final run together, the NWO together. What more can be said about Macho and Elizabeth? I mean, I think any wrestling fan will always remember the moment where he hoists her up in the air after their reunion. They will always remember that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's it. There you go.
So there it is. My top 10 wrestling couples. I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of the same ones. But to find out your top 10, I'm going to throw it over to the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham.
There it is. Very good. All right. For what it's worth, we've got 6 that are the same.
Really? I thought it would be more than that. I'm curious now to see what the other 4 are.
And we've got 2 that I can remember that 2 that are in the exact same spot.
Okay.
All right. Number 10. This is a couple that I don't really think it's a lot of love from the WWE universe because they weren't really a couple very long on screen in WWE because of shenanigans with management that led to their dismissal once again. But they were a power couple, and I dare say they're a power couple again in Ring of Honor as of this taping. Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis.
Okay.
First of all, let's not kid ourselves. They're both good-looking people.
Yeah.
No question about that. They got together in a business where couples fall apart. We've talked about that for the last 35 minutes. It happens all the time. They've made it across 3-4 companies and still stuck with each other and had chittens. Mm-hmm. Who are also adorable, by the way. So I applaud Mike and Maria for sticking together. I applaud Maria for sticking with Mike through his drug addiction because that is not to be trifled with, i.e. Vicky and Eddie. Let's not kid ourselves, man. Drug addiction, substance abuse is ugly as it's terrible. And Mike was really, really bad off for a really long time. And he got his shit together, and Maria stuck with him every step of the way. That's what you do as a couple. That's what you do as a family. I applaud that. And like I said, they're just adorable to watch on camera. The whole thing with WWE with the Power of Love thing, that was a little much. Like, it was much more, it felt like 90s gimmicky than it did organically in 2019 or whatever it was. But it was still funny to watch. And it was funnier than hell to have Maria be the first pregnant person to be a WWE champion. I thought that was tremendous. It's so funny to watch that happen. But having her be like domineering and abusive over him, that was stupid. I didn't like that part at all. So I go back and forth with them as far as WWE. Overall body of work and overall off-screen stuff, they're definitely on my list. No question about it.
I think the reason I didn't think about them is because I wasn't really watching when they got together as a couple.
Right.
In whatever company they originally started together, and I think it was ROH.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So as much as I'm familiar with Maria from her initial WWE run,
right,
I'm not real familiar with Mike.
Right. And that's
so
and yeah. And with you, that's totally justifiable because you fell in love with the business, and we've not been quiet about that. You were kind of like, meh, I'm good. So, and that's
although I will say that as of our taping right now, I have watched every episode of Raw in 2021.
God bless you, man, because it's been some rough goings here so far. But yeah, they're great. I love them together. I forget where you ranked this couple, so forgive me. I didn't write it down here in my notes. I should have. As a producer, I should be doing that shit. But number 9 for me is one that I was surprised on your list because of what you said about this couple, specifically the female. Mark Calloway and Michelle McCool, The Undertaker and Michelle. We were close. You and I, we were close there. They, again, they didn't acknowledge to the very end, which I thought was very commendable of both of them to not want to just have their shit all over the place, which is good. But they work, and they work because of that. They didn't go there until Undertaker knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, hey, this is it. I'm bouncing after this. Let's do the damn thing. And originally it was just him, a brief little moment in time. He kisses her on the lips as he's walking out with his gear in the ring, and he goes away, and we think he's gone. That's it. So, okay, well, he acknowledged her on the way out. That's cool. But then he comes back, and he has these train wrecks with Goldberg and with DX, and it's just a mess. And then he gets involved with arguably the greatest wrestler of our generation, and AJ Styles. You know, I mean, you and I both we both do the AJ Bryan Valentine act every other freaking time we talked, but AJ Styles is up there, man. And Undertaker knew he was. He mentioned him in the thing going out with Roman. It's like, God, I wish I could have had him just one time, and he got him. And not only did he get him, but AJ invoked "Your wife's got your balls" card, like they always seem to do with Hunter and Stephanie. And it just worked because AJ had the same thing with Samoa Joe the year prior. Like, so it works. It's like, you know, okay, so Undertaker's like, all right, well, now I got to unleash some shit because now you're talking about my wife. Nobody talks about the Undertaker's family on television. It does not happen. You can talk about Hulk's wife in WCW. You can talk, do not talk about Mrs. Undertaker or the girls. He will whoop your ass. And he done whooped that ass. So,
the first rule of Undertaker is you do not talk about his family. The second rule of Undertaker is you do not talk about his family. Straight up Fight Club style here.
Shit, for real. Like, the minute he said it on TV, I'm watching here going, oh, shit, it's about to go down. I don't care if there's no fans. Somebody's going to die. So, but it was awesome because then you see the Last Ride documentary unfold last year, and you see all these things that have gone down with him retired and everything, and she was right there, and the surgeries. The Last Ride documentary alone is what got this couple on my list.
Yeah.
Just watching it unfold and watching how, I mean, she even said it was in the trailer. Y'all have no idea how much he's suffering every day, and she's right there with him, man.
I concur with you 100%. If it hadn't been for that glimpse into their personal life in that documentary, which I watched when it first debuted.
For what it's worth, as of this taping, my father, the biggest Undertaker fan I know besides me, still hasn't watched it. That is why you failed, Dad. All right. Number 8 is one that actually really also didn't get acknowledged, except for little bitty spurts here and there over the years, particularly with the Viper going into last WrestleMania. Beth Phoenix and Edge. Now, I know everybody's going to be all, well, they're not a wrestling couple. They met in WWE. They got, shut up. They are. They're a wrestling couple. They work because of that very reason. They don't talk about it on TV at all. They work, just like I said. Randy brought her up. She done came back at TV like, look, asshole. He RKO'd her in the middle of the ring. After she tried to kick him in the nuts. If somebody's kicking me in the nuts, I'm doing something. So, throwing it out there. Even if she is a retired WWE champion, I'm still going to try to at least do something. Kick me in the nuts. Bitch move. So, but these two are so, like, it's ridiculous how cute they are together. When you see them on stuff that they're not on WWE television, they're gross. But, like, they're so cute. It's disgusting. It really is.
I've seen their pictures on social media.
Yeah, they're dorks. They're complete. It's very much like the whole Matt, Amy, and then Adam. Amy. They're all a bunch of friggin' dorks. The whole lot of them. The Hardys, Edge and Christian. They're all a bunch of friggin' dorks. All of them. And they're great. I love it. Christian, Jay and his wife, a couple of dorks. Jericho and his wife, a couple of dorks. You know, the whole Canadian contingent and the Hardy offshoot, bunch of nerds, man. And I love that they get to show that. And you know, they have the social media stuff, like Instagram in particular, man. You get to see how these couples are when they're not on WWTV. And what's great is they take bits of that and weave it into the television stuff. John Cena, who you and I both adore tremendously, brought up The Undertaker's Instagram during his thing going into WrestleMania that year and talked about, you know, you posting stuff on your wife's Instagram. It's like, ooh, John, not a good look. Considering who you're with, John, not a good look. No, stop. Ooh, ugh. But Beth and Adam are just one of my favorite couples that you didn't think would ever happen. It was just so funny. It just kind of just evolved, but it was so
it just kind of happened out of nowhere.
It really did. It really did. It was really
because they didn't really work with each other.
No, they didn't.
I mean, obviously they were employed by the same company. They worked with each other, but like there was no program where they were really interacting with each other for it to evolve from, like a good chunk of mine.
Exactly. It was very, very cute how it all evolved. It was very, very sweet. I enjoyed it so much, and I have enjoyed it for so long that I hope they keep it that way, where they're not on TV together doing anything. Just let it be. Let us see little spurts of it here and there on social media. Maybe go into the programming here and there, but not full time like all these other couples did. Because I still believe that other than the McMahon management family, the couple stuff being brought into television is disastrous. I do believe that. So, all right, where am I at here? Number 7. Number 7 for me is probably going to get me some controversial tweets or whatever, because people either seem to love this couple or they seem to hate this couple. There's really no in between. Cody and Brandy Runnels, whatever you want to call them. The first couple of AEW. I didn't even know they were together for the longest time, even though they were in WWE working together and they got together at that point. It really kind of happened all of a sudden in my face at the Hall of Fame the one year that Dusty was up there with Maria and Michael Cole, Maria Menounos and Michael Cole, and Brandy's up there with Dusty, and oh, that's right, okay, cool, because you and I both met Brandy at Access when she was still Eden Styles. You and I definitely both met Cody the same year because you got the bag picture, and that's just tremendous. For the record, it's funny.
He broke character, which is what I was going for.
Yes, he did, because he chuckled like you saw it. He was chuckling.
You can see it in the picture that he's just got a smirk like this motherfucker right here. He got me.
He did. He got it. What was really great was I brought Dylan to see Cody after he became NWA champion when he came out to Port Rainimi for Marquez. I had my no DQ hat on, which he had blocked no DQ for a while, but I also showed him the picture from Access, and he goes, "That's still one of the best things I ever did." It was so random that this guy gave. He totally popped for each other, which is awesome. I love that to this day.
Little note: you're gonna have to edit that picture in here when we're talking about this in post production.
Sure. I'm gonna put it right there. Yeah, right there for sure. So we'll definitely do that. But yeah, Cody and Brandy, it's again, both of them really got shafted by WWE, and the way they were presented, the way they were employed, the way they were dismissed. Totally uncool. But Cody himself has said he went from undesirable to undeniable within a year. He invested in himself and said, "Nah, I got this." And she, much like Linda did all those times with Vince, "I got you." And here they are giving Vince a run for his money, at least every Wednesday night, and AEW is thriving right now because of them, because of Matt and Nick and their wives, and because of Kenny Omega and people like Chris Jericho. That brand is really thriving, and I'm going to piss off AEW fans, so be it. The main reason that company is thriving is because Cody and Brandy especially Cody, had the forethought to invest in themselves. Like, nah, screw this shit. So they, for me, are a true power couple.
I definitely agree with you that Cody got done dirty in his release.
Yeah.
But I feel like he had run his course in WWE. I don't feel like he was really underutilized, because you can definitely see the steady rise in his stock in WWE.
Right.
With the exception maybe being as Stardust.
I was going to say, yeah.
But even then, he took a bullshit gimmick and made it work beautifully. Plus, he was teaming with his brother.
Right. Well, the thing is, he got handed a plate of chicken shit, and he did his damnedest to make it a chicken salad. It's just people were not going to buy Goldust 2.0. They weren't going to. So... But
just like people never bought Dustin as a knockoff Gold Dust. Like
No,
when he went to WCW and did 7.
right. Well, he knew going in 7 wasn't going to work, and the first promo he cut at 7 was his Dustin instead. He's like, "What the hell's idiot Rudo's got me doing?" So that was on him. And to Dustin's credit, he did the whole relic, the whole Black Rain thing. He tried, man. Both him and Cody tried to evolve out of what they were given. It just, Cody needed to be his own boss.
Yeah.
And Randy had enough faith in him to go, all right, let's do it. So good on them. I love them for it. Number 6 is a couple that we saw evolve completely in front of our eyes, and we were just like, huh? Because I've known one of them for his entire career pretty much, and the female, you just kind of go, I don't see it. But when you see them together, it's like, yeah, I totally see it. Mike and Maurice Mizanin, the Miz and Mrs. Again, when Maurice debuts, however many years ago it was now for her, and her evolution as a character, complete, snooty, obnoxious French Canadian biatch. And then you got the Miz, who on camera, you want to reach through your TV through a magic just to choke his stupid ass. Off camera, he's the biggest dork on this side of the country, because the East Coast is all the Hardys. They're the nerds over there, but we got our Miz, damn it. And they work. And he turned her into a big old dork. Like, she's a complete nerd now. It's ridiculous how funny they are together and how cute they are together. And now they've got beautiful children, and they've got the TV show on USA Network, and they've worked together as an on-screen couple, and it was so awesome to see it. It was so great to see it happen. Damn it. He always gets me somehow, even though he's not here, jerk. Anyway, they work, and they're beautiful together, and she's still as gorgeous as ever, and he's still, people don't always, say Mike Mizanin's the classic good-looking guy. He's actually a pretty decent-looking, dude. He has his.
He cleans up well.
He cleans up very well. I mean, if you were to see him when I first met him at UPW back in, you wouldn't know, right? But when you and I went to Access that year, and he's out there, freaking nice suit, nice tie, white strap IC, which is still my favorite to this day. And he's like, I walk up to him, and he kind of looks at me like he knows, but he's not sure. And I mentioned those 3 letters. He goes, "Okay, yeah, I remember now." It's like we go back in time 10 years, and we're just sitting there, 2 kids, me doing the interviews, him doing the ring work, and just like, it's crazy. He is so not the guy he is on TV, as she is. She's so not that person. However, I will say this. I'm going to be I'm trying right now. This is, we're taping this earlier than we're airing it, obviously, but I'm trying very hard to get my pictures back on Facebook. If you see the picture of myself and Maurice and Eve Torres is the babyface in that picture. Maurice is the heel. You don't know that in the picture. Maurice looks like she's having a grand time, and she's happy to see me, and he's got that, phony ass, hand on hip, pose, and the smile that's about 3 sizes too big, kind of like the Grinch's heart in reverse. It's like, she's bullshit. Which I've heard she's gotten better in her retirement, so good on you, Eve. I'm not picking on you in this. I'm just saying this particular picture. But yeah, I love these two. I love how their social media definitely influences their whole presentation, because they are complete and utter nerds, and I love every bit of them together. As he says, it's awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Number 5 is a couple that I also, it's very, very hard to talk about them, as it was with you, as it will be with everybody for the rest of our days, because we didn't really get to meet her until after Eddie had passed, but Eddie and Vicky, and then you watch his DVD that came out, shortly before he passed, Cheating, Life, Stealing, and Death, and you see how much she loves him, and how much the addiction stuff wrecked her as he wrecked his life, and how hard it was for her to take the girls and go, I'm not doing this with you. I can't anymore with you. I'm not going to do it. And to have her adopt the child he had outside of them shows me everything about how much she loved him, how much she is a quality person, and how strong they were and would have been had Eddie not tragically passed away. These two are probably the favorite couple that I haven't met both of them yet. I adore, and I won't meet Eddie, obviously, Jeff, but all the times we met Vicky over the years, there's always going to be part of her that's going to be that shy, unassuming, didn't want to be on television wrestling wife. And you see that in her when you talk to her, when I talk to her, when a lot of people that we've known over the years have talked to her. You don't see the crazy screeching, excuse me, bitch. You don't see that with Vicky. Because that's not who Vicky is. Vicky has evolved so that her TV character is presented so dramatically and so beautifully that you want to rip that character's throat out at the end of the night. But then you go meet her at a press event or whatever, and it's just like, who are you? Huh? It's weird. She's evolved so well. She did very much like Eddie did. When Eddie was a baby face, you wanted to throw on that shirt and do that shimmy and ride the water with him and have a grand old time. When he was a heel, you wanted to shoot him or stab him because he was an evil son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he and Art survived Mexico. Stabs me to this day, for real. Just saying.
In my experience, as minimal as it is compared to yours, it's always been, I'll say 80% of the time. It's been one of those situations where I will despise a heel on TV until I get the chance to meet them.
Yep.
And once you meet them, I would say 95% of the heels that you see on TV are nicer than the baby faces when you meet them in real life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Vicky was a prime example of that.
Right, exactly.
And like you just said about the Maurice and Eve situation.
Yep. It's funny. When we met Vicky, I think it was definitely my first time, but I don't know if it was your first time. She was paired with Dolph at the time. Vicky was the screeching, excuse me, bitch. Dolph was the cocky, arrogant prick that thinks he deserves everything. Vicky's not that person on camera. Dolph really isn't, but he still comes off like that when you're at the bar with him. He's still a cocky asshole. But you know what? He's fun. Nick Nemeth is fun to hang out with. He's a great guy. Throw a couple of drinks back with him. It's fun. You were there with me watching me do that with him, so it was interesting. But yeah, they're both great. But yeah, Eddie and Vicky. It's so damn difficult to think of what could have been. Here we are 15 and a half years later. Number 4. Again, I forget where they were for you, so excuse me. TJ and Natty, Tyson Kidd and Natalia.
They started my list.
Again, way lower than I thought, considering how much I know you love both of them, especially Natty. And again, you've been around as far as a fan a lot shorter time than I have, but your entire fandom has encapsulated their time in wrestling while being together, because they've been together longer than 1998, I think. But we've watched them grow up together. We've watched them grow up as singles stars. We've watched TJ go through his tag team ranks and teaming with Bulldog Jr. and with Cesaro and the horrible, unfortunate circumstances where he had to retire. And now we're seeing him maybe getting back into the thick of things. And they've got the dungeon built in their area, their own private little dungeon they've got there set up. And they just, it's fun. When you see Natty on Total Divas and you see Natty on Instagram and Twitter interacting with him, it's almost like you don't know why it works, because she like not meanly or whatever, she bugs the shit out of Tyson. She bugs him. She's just like, he's sitting there just trying the game or trying to do with the pets, whatever, and she teach. It's like, just shut the fuck up and leave me alone. but they're cute, and they've always been cute, and I am so glad that Jim was around long enough to walk her down the aisle, because God, would that have sucked for everybody. But yeah, I having met Jim and having known Natty now for as long as we've had, and all of us being Twitter buds, and it's been a really cool thing to get to be able to interact with her and talk with her, and meeting Tyson at Access of the Year, where we all met him when he had less hair than me.
I miss that hair, by the way. That
Right?
was so golden.
Seriously.
When he grew his hair out, he lost his style.
Yeah,
he was still a hell of a worker, but what made him stand out was that little puff hair right there, and being bald the whole rest of the head.
Yes.
That made him stand out.
Yeah, I had TJ try to tell me to do that one time. I'm like, yeah, I can't pull it off. I'm not as good looking as you everywhere else, but no. Sorry. No. But yeah, I love both of them. I love how confident she has become within herself, and part of that is him motivating her, because her social media posts over the last couple of years have just been like really getting tremendous. So I applaud them, and I'm trying to get my charger because my phone's about to die. I applaud how long they've survived in wrestling, especially in this day and age where wrestling nowadays has been very much more tumultuous than it had been, back when, you talked about Randy and Liz, Hulk and Linda and all them, they survived because, they were in the trenches together. So it was really, you bear down and you get through it with each other. Nowadays, a lot of things are more wide open, and there's a lot more opportunity to get step off on your mate. And they don't. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, I think was lower for you than it is for me, but I definitely do need to acknowledge him because, as you said, it all started right there. Paul Levesque and Stephanie McMahon, Triple H and Stephanie. You don't want to like him. You don't want to be happy they're still together. You want them to break up. You're sick of Hunter being a power guy. You're sick of him being a 13,000-time world champion. You're sick of her screeching voice. They're great. I love them both. I've met Hunter twice now. I've interacted with Stephanie here and there on social media. I feel they get way too much shit. I say that and I mean it. And it's going to piss a lot of people off that watch my shows every week and how critical I am of her father and his father-in-law and his booking right now. But I just love Paul and Stephanie together. And being friends with Joni, that wasn't easy to be a fan of either one of them for a very long time. And I still say to this day that Joni's induction was way overdue and way held off for way too long. But
she still deserves to be in there on her own.
She does. And we've gone back and forth about that between her people and, people whatever. But if you look at them as just them, if it's just Paul and Stephanie, if it's just Hunter and Stephanie, they are a great couple. And with any luck, they are the future. Hunter had his first match, if you want to call it that. It was a fight earlier this year, back last month on Raw. He had a single match in 2020. So he had been off, not being in the ring or in a competitive, thing in the ring for well over a year. So he's definitely on the tail end of what he wants to do in the ring. And that's good that he can get in that place and not fret about it. Stephanie, has the 3 kids, has the corporate job she has, and her and Hunter can still be in the gym like a couple of crazy people, like their whole man, every night. And again, they have so many bonds together that when you think about Vince's approach of you're not dating a wrestler, it's like, why? They have common goals. They have common desires. They want the company to succeed. They want the company to go beyond your life, Dad, beyond your life, Pop. So if we're together with that common goal, why not? So, granted, when you and I were first getting together, especially when Aaron and I were first doing our shows in 2002, we wanted nothing more than the hanging of Triple H off a freaking noose for being world champion so many damn times. We were sick of it.
Yeah.
But the gift of hindsight, 20 years looking back, you go, who else was it going to be? Really, especially on Raw. because Raw was a mess in 2002 and 3 and 4. And, they had to put Randy and Dave with him and Rick just to build freaking people. What do you do? Bring back Goldberg again? God, stop it with the Goldberg stuff. But, think about it. Who are the world champions between Hunter getting the award of the title and Dave winning it from him at WrestleMania? Evolution, Shawn Michaels, who was in the fight with Hunter, and Goldberg. That tells you everything of how much of a train wreck Raw was at the top of the mountain. If Hunter's not the guy, who does it?
Shawn could have had a better run than his 1 month run with his shit brown tights. Jericho could have had a run.
Well,
another run after being the original undisputed champion.
I agree.
Could have had a run with the belt.
All right.
Like
what I'm saying is, who did Vince and Gerwitz and them have faith in? That's the key. Unfortunately, right or wrong, the writing team and Vince didn't have faith in anybody beyond Hunter. And I'm not saying that's right or saying it's wrong. I feel personally it's wrong because, like you said, you had Jericho, you had Shawn Michaels, you had RVD there just sitting there stamping his damn feet for 4 more years after that, But, Hunter being the champion is what anchored Raw. And Paul said it at One Night Stand. The only reason that JBL was the champion is because Hunter didn't want to work an extra day of the week because he's already working so many of the week between executive and wrestler. The guy was worn out. So I love Hunter and Steph, and I know it's going to give me hate mail. Tough. I don't care. I love them both.
I'm with you there. And, like you said, I know I talked a little bit about them when I brought them up, but you mentioned how hard it was to like them being friends with Joni.
Yeah.
I was such a fan of Test.
Yes.
That when Hunter came in with the footage from the wedding chapel and totally wrecked the wedding, I wanted no part of them. It wasn't until around the time that DX 2000 started and the Outlaws and X-Pac and Tori came in and they had that reunion that I started to really get to be like, oh, okay, you know what? I like this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially when they both had straps and she had the women's title and he had the WWF title.
Yes.
Okay, you know what? I'm buying this now.
Yeah, exactly.
But when he came out and wrecked that wedding, I was so hot because I was so pulling for Test.
I know. What's really funny
WWE booking at its best because it evoked that emotion that they wanted from you.
Yep.
God, I miss those days.
And think about this. Triple H's, stealing wedding was up here. Where was the Test Stephanie thing, man? My home building, man. Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. My number 2 is one of the two that we share a spot. Vince and Linda. We're not sitting here without them. Straight up. It's as simple as that. We're not sitting here doing this show in 2021 if Vince and Linda aren't together running the empire.
Yep.
It's really that simple.
Pretty much.
It's Linda anchors his ass. Let's be crystal clear. Linda keeps him from going into orbit on a daily, more likely not.
Yeah.
More than likely. So she is the greatest example of a wife in wrestling that I know, because Vince, he wants to go off and don that cape and go off into the stratosphere, pun not intended, sorry Trish, and just kind of circle all around, do things, and Linda tethers his ass and go back here and settle your ass down. That's what she do.
Exactly. Linda is to Vince in his personal life what Vince was to Russo creatively.
Yes. And we all saw what happened when Russo broke the tether. With all due respect to Russo, because people think I shit on him too much, and maybe I do, WCW during the year he was in power is all I have to say about breaking the tether from the McMahons. So, but yeah, Linda definitely grounds Vince from completely going off into Neverland, like he would likely do if she wasn't around. And at the same time, she's willing to make an ass out of herself, knowing that the payoff's going to come. He makes a gigantic, ward-infested ass out of himself in the process.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the divorce and WrestleMania build-up and Trish, that, dude, the pop she got from standing up out of that damn folding chair, the Astrodome almost imploded. That's how hot they are as a couple when they're at their peak. My goodness. Linda could have seriously spun wool into gold walking out of that damn Astrodome that night. That's how big it was. And
very much so.
When she turned heel, oh my God, did the entire wrestling world almost completely have a collective aneurysm? Like, no, you're not supposed to be the one. No. When she kicked JR in the nuts, I could hear an entire country just,
yeah.
Like, what is happening?
And I hate to get morbid here for a second.
Okay.
But I seriously see a Johnny and June
scenario
when the first one leaves us.
Vince and Linda are the reason, like I said at the top, the reason we sit here, the reason we do this. And if it's not for them expanding the empire in the early 80s, we could be having a Jim Crockett discussion right now for the next, year. It really
true.
Number one is also your number one because we grew up with them, because we love them, because they're just the story itself. You mentioned during your spiel about them that no one will forever forget the moment of WrestleMania 7 when they come together, that moment when you see her sigh and they embrace, and then she's on the shoulders. When Randy Savage and Elizabeth got back together on screen in 1991, to this day, and here we are 30 years later almost, it's going to be 30 years next month, which just makes me feel old as shit. I sob. I don't cry. I don't whimper. I don't tear up. I freaking sob like it's my own parents getting back together, like it's my own brother reuniting with his wife. It's that deep for me. Because when I was 7 and 8 years old, remember when I discovered the business, Elizabeth wasn't even on camera at the time. He was still with Sensational Queen Sherry as the Macho King. So I didn't even know about Elizabeth because you can't go back and watch WWE Network in 1990 because it doesn't exist. So I didn't know anything about Elizabeth. But as they got back together and they showed all the stuff from the past, even in your mind, you go, "This is beautiful." SummerSlam 91, for historical references, when they got married for the first time on camera, was the very first Coliseum video purchase I ever made. And somewhere in the catacombs of this disaster of a house is the refrigerator magnet with the save date. That's how much I love Randy and Elizabeth. That's how much it broke my heart. My little soulless 9-year-old ginger heart when they divorced. That's how excited I was when in 1996, and I was not quite 13 yet, she returned to TV and paired up with Randy and Hulk on WCW television. How that same month I wanted to reach through my TV into St. Petersburg and throw that shoe into her forehead when she turned on Randy and joined the Horsemen. That relationship will always evoke my deepest, most visceral feelings about wrestling couples because they are the couple I fell in love with. They are the couple that really first grabbed my heart. And there will always be part of me that will be angry at Lex. And I hate it. I therapied through it at Lex for allowing her to pass away. It hurts. It physically effing hurts me to this day. And I am so grateful that we were able to get Randy on the show back in the day. And we did talk about Elizabeth, and we did talk about how much she meant to him. And we did, because it happened after she passed. So he was able to process it on my show. And we were able to work through it together as Randy and Jeff, not as Macho and Meach. It was so a moment that I'll never ever forget and I will always treasure, because those two made me believe that love can overcome anything. Even a crazy, rageful, jealous psychopath with a raspy voice can have this sweet, demure little Southern girl want nothing more than to have him love her back.
Yep.
That's really what it is, man. And that I did it without crying. I'm so happy. Because I know for a fact in a couple weeks when we do love songs and whoever you've got doing breakup songs, I'm probably going to be a friggin' disaster area, but it is what it is, you know. But this show is so very emotional because there are so many couples that we do leave off, that we don't mention, that we should mention, you know, that are just either didn't endure or didn't grab the attention like some of the ones we did today did. But, you know, the fact that both of us have Randy and Liz at number 1 and the McMahons at number 2 just shows how visceral our emotions were with Randy and Liz and how important we value the McMahon dynasty, the McMahon empire as in our family.
Yeah. Because like you said, you know, when you discussed them, were it not for Vince and Linda, we wouldn't be here.
No.
There'd be no Dads on Wrestling. There would have been no Renegade of Wrestling. There'd be no Talk Wrestling. There would have been no XMV, no Extreme Mayhem. There'd be no DQ.
Probably not. Yeah.
You know? So the Mandela effect of them not being the couple that they are,
right,
would have a serious effect on all of this.
Exactly.
So whether you like Vince McMahon and his booking or you don't, you have to give the devil his due.
Yes.
In being able to keep it together.
Exactly.
What do you guys think out there in internet land? Did we leave any names off? Leave them in the comment box below. As always, I will more than likely reply to them. He probably won't.
Now you know what? I've been thinking about replying this year. So this
maybe you'll get a message from Jeff as well.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. So let us know what you think. In 2 weeks, make sure you're back here as we discuss, as I talked about at the top of the hour, our top 10 love songs and a special guest coming in to talk about the top 10 breakup songs. In our opinions.
Yes, opinions.
Subjective entertainment.
Yes.
As per usual here on the network.
Please.
For the Dads on Wrestling. For the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham.
Yeah, boy.
I am the Renegade JJ Williams. Thank you for tuning in this week, and we will see you guys next time right here on the Dads on Wrestling.